The world is looking for an alternative to China, but can it really do that? In the race to reduce the carbon emissions, electric vehicle sales have risen, but where are these batteries coming from? China. It has turned into the biggest EV market in the world, and the success is breathtaking. Hello and welcome, I am Pallavi Sharma and you are watching ET Now. By 2030, China will make more than twice as many batteries as every other country combined. The EV penetration rate is also estimated to reach 90%. Even now, China controls each step of lithium-ion battery production from raw material to making these cars. We discuss China's EV strategy and where India is standing as it focuses on boosting in-house manufacturing. EVs accounted for a quarter of all passenger cars sold in China last year, and this is far ahead of the US and Europe. China's clean car sales hit 5.67 million in 2022, which is more than half of all global deliveries. Not just buying, even experts say that it is next to impossible for any other country to become self-reliant in battery supply chain. China's intervention will be important for the industry to expand. Let's talk about making these cars. Mining is the first process, and China decides who gets the minerals first and at what price, because it controls 41% of world's cobalt mining and the most mining for lithium. Its steady supply of nickel, manganese and graphite is an advantage. With investments in Indonesia, it will become the largest controller of nickel by 2027, and graphite is largely mined in-house. Well, even if countries mine their own materials, all the refining is done in China. Refining needs more energy. Chinese companies are supported by the government with cheap land and energy. The country has also less stringent environmental regulations, so the pollution is not an issue for these companies. The country also has figured out how to make the battery components first at low cost. It has become the largest battery producer. The most important component is cathode, and the country invested in cheaper alternatives than nickel to produce this. It is called the lithium iron phosphate, and the US makes only 1% of world's cathodes. If companies are interested in LFP, they need to team up with China. Coming to buying, China has been using the carrot-stick approach to cultivate EVs. It gives consumers subsidies, and for a decade it reimbursed EV buyers with 60,000 yuan. A standard of 10% tax levy has been exempted for clean car purchases under 300,000 yuan until 2025. It will be 5% post that. As mentioned earlier, the direct government support is given to EV makers. The infrastructure is also key. China has the largest charging network and has added 649,000 public chargers in just 2022. This is 70% of globe's installations. These were just carrots. Let's talk about the sticks now. Buying and owning gasoline-powered cars have become very less appealing as cities were fighting congestion by limiting the number of cars on road. Most new license plates purchased were green. The country also introduced a dual credit system for auto industry in 2017 itself. It gave reward points for clean car makers and penalties for those with high fuel consumption. Cars with negative scores may be taken off the market. Now, manufacturers started making more EVs because of this. The government support boosted sales too. Some local governments made public transport and taxis 100% electrical and encourage agencies to buy electric or plug-in hybrids. The West is not able to keep up with this, and so is India. India wants companies to manufacture in-house, and it has recently discovered lithium reserves in Rajasthan and Jammu and Kashmir. Reports say that these will meet 80% of India's total lithium demand. Many car makers are also keen on manufacturing in India, but it takes over 20 years for a new mine to reach full production. And what about refining? It has to be done in China. Adoption is also not easy. Sufficient infrastructure is important for EV production. India has only 1,700 charging stations in the country, and it needs at least 4 lakh stations by 2026 to satisfy demand for 2 million electric vehicles. The government is working on it at a fast pace, but it will take some decades to countries to figure out what China has already done. Cheap labor, government support, carrot and stick strategy, and much more is helping the country to be on top of the world in EV making.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.